Hey guys, this is Never Ending Reader. I'm Brittany and welcome to an overwhelmingly large book haul. So before I get started, I have a sizable book outlet haul here. I think it's like, I don't even know, maybe 13 books. And then I have like 20 books that I've thrifted over the past like, I don't know, 3-4 months. So yeah, the book outlet books were super cheap. As you know, book outlet is very, very cheap. A lot of these were like $1.25 plus I had a coupon. And then the books that I've thrifted over the past few months, the books that I've thrifted, the soft covers will be $1 and then the hardcovers were $2 usually, just depending on where I bought them from. But anyways, yeah, here's a collectively large book haul. I'm not going to get into details about synopsises very much because I don't want to be here for the rest of my life. So yeah, let's get started with the book outlet order first. So the first thing that I got from Book Outlet was Enchante by Gita Trelease. I know this is a fairly recent release, like I think it just came out a few months ago, and I know this is about a girl whose parents have died of smallpox and she has to take care of like her younger sibling. I believe it's like a sister, and she has no money, but she has like magic, and I'm thinking she can somehow like turn items into silver or gold. I don't know, that might not be true, but anyway, she ends up in the court of Marie Antoinette and she's doing magic there and like trying to keep her family afloat. So yeah, this is one of the most exciting things that I have purchased lately. I'm very, very excited to get to this. I love historical fiction. I love fantasy, so I think this will be like right up my alley. I also picked up Our Kind of Cruelty by Araminta Hall. I think this is kind of like the same synopsis of that book You, which I haven't read yet, but I think it's about a guy who like obsesses over some lady and like is in love with her and stalking her, but I'm not super sure. I remember being interested in this, and I think it was Book of the Month maybe that had released this, and then I never bought it. But then I saw this was on Book Outlet for like $1.75 or something, and I was like, okay, yeah, sign me up. And I also got Now I Rise by Kirsten White. This is the second book in the And I Darken series. I don't even know if it's called that. The first book follows a young girl, I believe her name was Lada, and it's basically a Vlad the Impaler retelling, and I loved the first book, like, so much that it hurt. So when I saw this on Book Outlet, I was like, okay, I really need to get to the second one. It's fairly large, but I am very, very excited for it. You will probably see me reading this next month, I hope. And I also picked up King of Scars by Leigh Bardugo. This is, what, the 5th or 6th? I'm not even sure, but 5th or 6th book in the Grishaverse, and this one follows Nikolai. And some of you may know that I've been reading all of the Grishaverse books all over again. So this month I'm going to be on Language of Thorns and possibly Six of Crows. I'm excited to get to that. And then King of Scars is, I think, the only thing that I've not read up from Leigh Bardugo aside from Language of Thorns, so I'm very, very, very hyped for this. I also picked up Lady Midnight by Cassandra Clare. I really like the spine on this one. It's very cute, but this is like the millionth book in the City of Bones, like whatever universe. And I actually stopped reading all of those books like right when this was released, so I haven't read this yet, but I want to. And I think next year Chloe and I are going to do like an entire Mortal Instruments like reading experience over the year, and I'm really hoping that works out. But in the meantime, I found Lady Midnight online for like $1.75, so yay. I also picked up Stay Sweet by Siobhan Vivian. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. I think this is exactly what it looks like. I think a girl like works in an ice cream shop and like falls in love with somebody. I've heard good things about this. Like last year when it was released, I remember there was like a campaign for it and all these people were getting these like ARC packages with like literal boxes of ice cream, and everyone was like, oh, it's so good. So I saw it on there for like $1 again, and so I picked it up. Hopefully it lives up to the hype, because after that campaign was over, I literally heard nothing about it ever again, but I was still interested, so we'll see. I also picked up Fireworks by Katie Cotugno. I've heard good things about this author. I've just never read anything by her, and I actually thought that this cover was like pretty cute, and then I read the synopsis when it came in the mail, and I was like, actually I don't know that I would like that, because it's about two girls that like turn into pop stars, which isn't really my thing, but maybe it could be, I don't know. I also got Dare Mighty Things by Heather Kaczynski. I hope I pronounced that right. But this is like a sci-fi book, and I think it's about these like group of kids, and they're like under the age of 25, and they're all like geniuses, and they're like training to be in this space program to like go into space. And I do like sci-fi, and I like young adult sci-fi, so this sounded like pretty good to me. Also from Book Outlet, I got Anna and the Swallow Man by Gabriel Savit. I think this is like a World War II book, and it's actually pretty small, and it follows a girl whose family was taken, I believe, and then the Swallow Man like comes and helps her, and he's like magical. I'm not really sure, but I think I remember Haley and Bookland possibly recommending this, and I saw it online, and I was like, I love World War II historical fiction, so I was very excited to see this. I also got Empress of a Thousand Skies by Rhoda Beliza. This is another sci-fi. It says it's about a crown princess who is the sole survivor of an ancient bloodline, and she's to become the empress, but I don't think she wants to, and that's like basically all the synopsis says. Again, I really like sci-fi, really enjoyed this cover. I think I'm going to enjoy this. Also from Book Outlet, I got Reign the Earth by A.C. Gawain. This pulled me in because it literally sounded like the Avatar. It's like about this girl from a kingdom, and she has like an arranged marriage with this man, and like there's magic outlawed, and then she finds out she's like an earthbender, and I was like, yeah, that kind of like resembles Avatar, so I wanted to read it. I also got The Forbidden Wish by Jessica Corey. I think this is literally an Aladdin retelling, except Genie is a girl and Genie and Aladdin fall in love, and that's like basically all I need to know because I love me some Disney. And the last thing I got from Book Outlet was Blood Rose Rebellion by Rosalind Eves. From what I gather about this, it's about a girl in like a high British society that's like magical, and she doesn't have magic, and so she's like booted out somehow and like has to go live with like her family that's like distant family, and I'm not really sure what goes on from there, but this is another one that I've heard recommended on BookTube like relentlessly, so I was pretty excited to see this. And before I get into my thrifted books, I wanted to mention that for my birthday, Chloe sent me this Slytherin edition of Harry Potter, and it's literally so beautiful. There's like a map, and there's like these little tidbits about like House Slytherin. Like, look at the Bloody Baron. It's just so cool. So thank you so much, Chloe. I am sorry that I haven't hauled this, but I haven't like filmed any hauls since you sent it. But I love you, I love you, I love you. Can't wait to see you in October. Okay, so the rest of these are thrifted books, and the first thing I got was this for my birthday. I was at a thrift store on my birthday, and I found this Percy Jackson's Greek Gods, and it's super duper heavy, but I think it's just like little fairy tales about like all the Greek gods, and I think Percy is the one that's narrating. And if you guys know me, I'm an obsessive Percy Jackson fan, so I was very excited to see this guy at the thrift store. And then the other day I did find Real Ghosts, Restless Spirits, and Haunted Places. This is just like a very large nonfiction book about ghosts and haunted houses. I thought it would be fun to like read a few stories out of here like around Halloween, and maybe like keep it out on my coffee table, so that was really exciting to find. I also found Bad Girls with Perfect Faces by Lynn Weingarten. From what I read about this, I think it's like this girl like catfishes this boy and something goes like terribly wrong, but look how creepy this cover is. There's like flies. I dig it. And then speaking of unsettling, I also found The Night Gardener by Jonathan Auxier. This is like a middle grade, and I think it's about these two kids who like for whatever reason have to go to this like haunted place, and I don't know, things are amiss. But as you guys know, that's like my favorite thing, and I'm probably hopefully going to be getting to this in October, and I'm very excited about it. I also found The Hollow by Christopher Golden and Ford Little Gilmore. I think this is like a Sleepy Hollow retelling, but it's just like a little tiny middle grade. I'm assuming it's middle grade, maybe like old school YA, so we'll see how that goes. And I also got The Screaming Staircase by Jonathan Stroud. I think this is about like London, possibly. Yes, London, and there's like ghosts all over London, but only young people like have the ability to like see the ghosts and trap them, and so this young person teams up with this man who's like a detective, and they go out and like find these ghosts, I think, and that sounded really interesting to me. Moving on to some adult books, I got Beautiful Beginning, Beautiful Bombshell, and Beautiful BITCH, because I cannot cuss on this channel anymore apparently. And these are all by Christina Lauren. Apparently they're like a romance series, but they didn't have the first book. So yeah, I'm just gonna hold on to these guys until I acquire the first book, hopefully at a discount, because these were only 80 cents. I also thrifted Crazy Rich Asians by Kevin Kwan. This is about a girl who is dating this boy, and he wants to like take her home to meet his family, and then she finds out that his family is like incredibly rich, and he like didn't tell her. So I'm pretty sure this will be interesting. I know there's a movie out about it now, and I do want to see that, so looking forward to this. I also rehauled The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I've already read this. I just didn't have it for like over a year. My best friend had it at her house, and like she finally gave it back, and so I'm rehauling it into my life because it's one of my favorite books of all time, and I finally have it back. I also picked up The Widow by Fiona Barton. I've heard this author's name before as like a pretty good mystery thriller writer, and I think this one follows a woman who is obviously a widow and her husband dies, and now she like goes out and exposes him, so that sounded cool to me. I also thrifted Two Girls Down by Louisa Luna. I saw that this was like a book of the month pick, and that's kind of what drew my eye to it, but it's about like two kids that disappeared, and there's like, I don't know, a cop or a detective and like a bounty hunter like trying to find them or find out what happened to them. And then another thriller that I got from the thrift store was The Passenger by Lisa Lutz. I've read the synopsis of this like a minimum of 10 times, and I still have no idea what it's about because it seems like a thriller that's like really trying to give the bare minimum, which I appreciate, so I will hopefully be reading this in the spooky months to come. I also found The Fortune Hunter by Daisy Goodwin. From what I can tell, this is like a historical fiction love triangle, and that's really all I need to know. I'm here for it. Okay, if the lighting changed, I'm sorry. My incredibly nosy neighbor is like peering into my windows and watching me do this, and that's kind of rude, so I closed the window and the light is off now. But anyways, I also thrifted Before She Knew Him by Peter Swanson. I've heard a lot about this author, and I think this is about a wife that like there's like a neighbor that moves in and she meets them, and there's like some like murder weapon at his house, and I don't even know, but it sounded good. And I trust all of you guys in your booktube recommendations, so I picked it up. This isn't technically mine, but I picked up The Cellar by Natasha Preston. I've already read this, and I thought it was pretty good. I'm like a seasoned thriller reader, so this didn't like blow my mind, but I actually picked it up for Chloe, so when she comes over, I'm gonna give that to her because I think she'll actually appreciate this. So yeah, I definitely picked that up. And I also got another Philippa Gregory book this month, which is The Last Tutor, which is probably one of the last books by her that I didn't own, and this one is about Lady Jane Grey. I've talked about this series extensively on my channel. It's just historical fiction about the Tudors, and so when I saw this at the thrift store, I was very excited because it meant that I didn't have to pay full price for it when I got to this book in the series. And the last book that I found at the thrift store, probably none of you have heard of, but it is a book that is near and dear to my heart and one of my favorite books of all time, even though it's like 1,000 pages. And that is From Sea to Shining Sea by James Alexander Thom. My grandpa was the one that actually recommended this to me, and I have been obsessed with it ever since I read it. It is about the Lewis and Clark expedition, and the way that this is written, like, it will blow your mind. I fell in love with this book. I fell in love with all the characters. I'm like crazy about American history, like all of a sudden after reading this. It's a very good book, and I didn't own it because I read my pa's copy of this, and so now I have my own, and I'm very, very excited to read it again, hopefully in the winter months. I know this will take me like 2 weeks of reading just this, but it's like so worth it. It's just one of the best books I've ever read. So that is it, you guys. That's my very sizable book haul. I hope you're still here, and if you are, I really appreciate you and love you. If you've read anything that I hauled and you think I need to get to it like ASAP, please let me know in the comments. And I know that my posting is like sporadic. It's because I don't have a camera, I don't have a computer. Like, doing this is very difficult for me because I'm like cursed and technology hates me. So I'm doing my best. And I will be back in the next few days for a TBR and 2 wrap-ups. So that's 3 videos in the next week that I'm very excited to upload. And I will catch you in the next one. Bye.